Welcome, and welcome back, everybody, to the OK Grognard Show. It's January 17th, 2022, 10 a.m. Central, or thereabouts, in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And it is a new year. First show of the new year. We're going to pick up where we left off, basically, because I wanted to look at this first edition 1E Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Non-Player Character Records sheet, portfolio, whatever you want to call it. And we tried to squeeze that in before last year ended, but that just wasn't possible. So there you go. But here we are in a new year, and we got this one in the queue and set up and ready to go. So we're going to have a look at it. It won't be a long show. It's not a big product. I'm going to be spending some time on the next show talking about any ideas that I had for maybe some format changes. We're going to be talking next show about upcoming game conventions, physical and virtual. I think most prominently GaryCon's coming up in late March for me because it's right here and it's one I attend every year when it's happening in physical form. And it was fun doing what I did with the virtual format of the show. Looks like I'm having some rate problems, so if this is a little choppy in the video, pardon me for that. I think everything is set right, so it is what it is. More of a stream issue than a technical issue on my part. Non-player character record sheets. What's up with that? Well, we're going to pop over to the old PDF look here. Let's see. There we go. It's lovely little artwork on the front. I love that this candle burning has all of this other stuff going on. Lots of monsters and creatures. One fighter with a mace, which I assume is going to be a evil guy. Little bit of blue nudity. He's working blue here. That's kind of a pun. And he's writing all this stuff down in his book. So he's keeping track of all these non-player characters he ran across, which happen to be monsters. Not sure how they chose the artwork for this. It's a cool image. I like how it overlaps the border in a couple of spots. It's busting out of its frame. It is a cool image, but I don't know that it is really evocative of non-player characters, unless we're saying he's one. I don't know if you noticed the little dice down here next to his ink pot. So perhaps he's a dungeon master creating a campaign and he's thinking of non-player characters. It's lovely. It's a meager 6 pages. It's just sheets with a cover. They talk about how to use it. I think we can zoom in a little bit on that. We're going to need a little bit smaller than we normally go with the DMG, so there we go. Using these sheets, a major problem for many DMs is the creation and keeping of non-player characters. Scraps of paper written on the spur of the moment do not work well and are often misplaced. These sheets have been designed to eliminate that problem. Found here is space for the information necessary for AD&D non-player characters or special intelligent monsters, and more space for other information useful in play. The sheets have been printed, 2 to a page, and are perforated down the center. The sheets may be separated. A straight edge will help. And the front and back of one sheet filled for each NPC. Or as an option, they can be used to present information on a character side by side, depending on the desire of the DM, whether to separate the sheets or leave them as is. Their unique size allows many advantages. The sheets will not be confused with player character sheets. They are compact. There are more sheets to a package, and all the information about one NPC may be put on one sheet. All information should be written in pencil so that the sheets may be altered, updated that is. Those items needing explanation appear below. Well, they count down all the different number. It may be useful to divide NPCs by a special class, profession, or monster type. Each group can then be numbered individually for filing purposes. Class, easy enough, but you do have things to consider like craftsmen, expert hirelings, that sort of thing. Outside of the normal player character classes, strength, the adjustments strength gives to combat and hit and damage appear under the section headed combat information. Goes through all of the stats. It's pretty straightforward. It reminds you that the stats are all important for NPCs as well. Magic resistance. Certain races and monsters have special resistances to specific spells, or in some cases, all spells. These include, for example, an elf's 90% resistant to sleep, or the 35% resistance of a pseudo-dragon to all magic. All such as these and their exact conditions should be listed in that section under magic resistance. Immunities. Unlike resistance, this spot is complete immunities is for complete immunities to various attack forms. Some monsters are immune to charm and sleep, while paladins are immune to disease. All these should be listed here. Saves, adjustments. Adjustments to saving throws can be due to factors, wisdom, racial constitution, adjustments, magical devices. For example, the plus or minus of each should be listed along with the conditions it affects, i.e. poison, mental attack. Morale and loyalty, obedience. This can be used to keep track of the current morale of the NPCs toward his master. This may change during the course of an adventure. Tables for loyalty and morale can be found on pages 36 and 37 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Detect special racial detection abilities. I don't know. Does any new game RPG still use race? I know in the literary sense it is meant to be a people, the Saxons, for instance, not the modern construct we use now. Is species what most newer RPGs are kind of shifting towards as a alternative, since it gets semantically charged in this day and age and misunderstood in the way it's meant to be used? I don't know. Armor class. In the shield design should be written the final adjusted armor class of the NPC. Next to it is a space for the adjustment due to dexterity, a space for any magical adjustments. Base AC is for the armor class according to the type of armor without magical adjustments or bonuses. The line after it is given to write in the type of armor worn. Creatures with natural armor need only use the first space. Combat adjustments. Here can be listed the pluses and minuses to hit damage rolls because of strength, dexterity, magical devices, racial adjustments, and other special abilities. Grappling, pummeling, and overbearing. The necessary information for weaponless combat may be found on pages 72 and 73 of the Dungeon Master Guide. Certain modifiers may be figured ahead of time. These are adjustments to the chance of making a successful attack, the adjustment to damage done, and the adjustment to defense from attacks. So we've got a couple of things already popping out at us in this. We have never done a show on the DMG section on grappling, pummeling, and overbearing, and that is probably long overdue. There are short forms that a lot of people I've talked to have used. There's been a couple different ways I've run it myself over the years. That isn't exactly how it is in the DMG, but we should kind of check all that stuff out at the same time in a show dedicated to it rather than side noted here. The other thing I wanted to suggest is morale and loyalty. We haven't done a show on that either. Coming from a wargaming background and having played a lot of war games as well over the years, morale and loyalty play a huge part in those types of games. So it would probably behoove me to do a show on those as it is outlined on pages 36 and 37 of the Dungeon Master's Guide, and then go into some variants and options and ways of short forming it or making it easy to use on the fly. It is a fairly simple system in any event, so it should be simple kind of on its own to begin with. So let's have a look at a little bit more of this, and then we'll have a look at the sheet, huh? Special attacks and defenses. This line is for those things that cannot be fit into other sections or special abilities that the NPC may acquire during the course of a campaign. It is also meant to be used for listing monster special powers. Tactics. Through the course of play, the NPC may develop standard or favored tactics. This space has been allowed to note these, thereby allowing continuity of play from game to game. Special abilities and skills, any special powers that can't fit elsewhere, and any secondary skills that an NPC may have may be written here. Social class and standing. Use of this is optional and is by no means required. Thieving skills. We'll just talk about social class and standing for a minute. There are a number of offshoots from Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. It's that sort of thing is more tied to setting, really, though. So when you think about how it's been used in Dungeons and Dragons over the years, I think most people will think of all of the different sigils in Greyhawk, or they may think later down the line in second edition the setting of Birthright, which very much takes into account social class and standing. As I say, these are optional, by no means required. But if it exists in your setting, there's no reason why NPCs can't recognize it, at least, if not be tied to it in one way or another. So, help, I'm being oppressed. Thieving skills is the next category. The percentages for each type of activity are to be listed in the box. Any adjustments for dexterity and race may be noted in the upper corner. Spells. The lines for spell level allow the DM to note the number of spells that can be memorized at each spell level. The boxed area below is for listing the spell in that NPC's books. The slashed off area is for the DM to mark the spells memorized at any given time. Debts and obligations. This area is to be used to note debts of honor, obligations to other characters, service required to one's lord, taxes due, installment loans, and other time payments. Facts and traits. Debts and obligations. Let's take a moment just to say also that if someone is on a gesh or a quest or has been magically forced to do some sort of a mission, then certainly put that in that same section there, right? Facts and traits. Information concerning personality traits may be found on pages 100 and 101 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Yet another thing we can spend some time on. Alternatively, this information may be supplied from the DM's imagination. So there's a third offshoot show to do just off of this. Wages. Either the NPC's current agreement with his employer may be listed here or his basic asking price if he is unemployed. Conditions can include magical treasure, choice of selection, and anything else that can be negotiated between the NPC and the player. Compatriots. This section allows only minimal information about each character. More may be given on each person through the use of other NPC sheets. So, are they part of a band? Are they part of a guild? Are they part of a mercenary troop? Stuff like that can also be added in there so that you can role play where they're being found or where they're being where they frequent. Locales frequented is the next section. This may be useful for noting where a particular NPC may be found, where he drinks, where he lives or lairs. It is also useful for noting the condition of the character, asleep, drunk, or working, for example. Employment record. It helps maintain an employment record so the past employers may rehire NPCs and so that good and poor treatment from previous employers may be noted. These things may affect the attitude of the NPC to a greater or lesser extent. Obviously, it says, on such a small sheet, not every detail can be allotted space. If, as the campaign progresses, more information is generated, if needed, a sheet of notebook paper may be included along with this sheet. It might become desirable to develop a floor plan of the NPC's dwelling to give a longer, more detailed employment record. Levels of NPCs also present a slight problem. High-level characters may have a great deal more information than can be listed here. Again, a sheet of notebook paper should suffice. It is to the DM's advantage to have a special 3-ring binder or a section of one to maintain a file of characters, both those of player characters and NPCs. This product, combined with AD&D Player Character Records, will make quick and easy reference work. Will make a quick and easy reference work. They definitely add in the word work. So 1980 TSR, there's that famous logo. We're going to take that off just for a second so that we can pop this up and have a look at full page there. All right, here we go. Straighten that out. I think we want to fit it to width anyway. All right. Sorry about the delay there while I figure out how the Software still works. Take a look. Got the orange sheet going on here. AD&D Non-Player Character Record Sheet. Notice it is got two parts to it in that they are side by side. Note also that the sheet is very condensed, very compact, as it said in the introduction in the use of it. We got it on scroll. Yeah, we do. Note the combat section. There is nothing that says you can't use this for PCs as well. If you're, for instance, putting together sheets for a one shot at a game day or a convention, these can be a quick and ready way of doing that. So it keeps it all on one page. It keeps it all in the same size if you don't cut it in half. So there you go. You may not need spells for a fighter character, but having it there perhaps reminds them to utilize the other characters. And you know what? If you cut this section off or add in a portrait over top of this, or any section that you don't need to use, you can always add in other information and just make a blanket out and put lines on it. There's so much you can do with images these days. Here's the sample of Darokin, character 26. Oh, that is the campaign, my bad. Thorvald is the name of the character. An illusionist, race a doppelganger. Well, there you go. That kind of bit of a spoiler there. I don't know if you want your player characters to see such sheets. There it is in glorious white, so it can easily be printed out from your PDF. This is one I got a while back. Hopefully it's still available. I'll have to link to it in the show notes if I can. Not much more to say about this. So you have a quick scroll down here. They just kind of show off the product because it's going to be in shrink wrap when you see it at the game store in 1980. So this tells you all you need to know about it. And then it lists a number of other products, mostly adventures, that is dungeon modules of the day. So they're getting a little advertising on the back of the sheet. P.O. Box 756, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I believe that when TSR went under, the former employee Harold Johnson got a hold of that P.O. box and still holds it, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, we're about there, so we're going to wrap it up. I want to say thanks to everybody. If you are catching this on Twitch, by all means, follow the channel. And if you are, let's see, what do we got? The show streams live on Twitch each Monday at 10 a.m. Central. That's going to continue through the new year. And then it's archived on YouTube. Links in the show notes. If you are catching it on Twitch, do follow the channel. Chime in on the chat if you're here. It's appreciated. Also, if you are catching it on YouTube, then please do subscribe there. Click the little bell so you get updates whenever a new show is uploaded. Feel free to give thumbs ups to videos that you watch and enjoy, and by all means, feel free to comment if you have questions, or if you have something to add to the topic of the show, or if you just want to say hi. It's all appreciated. All very much appreciated. This has been the OK Grognard Show from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Bye-bye.